In November of 2005, I enlisted into the National Guard, and then in July of the next year, I left for basic training. I remember getting off the bus. I was definitely scared then. That was like the drill sergeants were, climbing over the seats in the bus and yelling and screaming, and I kind of thought like, holy cow, what have I gotten myself into? The whole time growing up, I was really competitive, but as soon as I left for basic training and kind of got in that environment, it's almost like I found what I was meant to do. Like, this is what I wanted to do. When I joined the military, my whole mindset was like, if they wanted me to have a husband, they would have issued me one. If they wanted me to have kids, like, they would have given me kids, like I was 100% military. So I never wanted to be married or have kids. Like, that was just going to take away from my military career. I was so focused. And then I met my husband. We were dating for about 3 years, and it was kind of history from there. I realized it actually was what I wanted, and ended up married and had a beautiful son, and now I couldn't imagine life any different. Right after I got married, I found out that the reason they wanted me to go to this school was because this group was deploying. So me and Jake had a big talk about it, and we said, let's wait until you get home. We'll be married for about a year, and then you'll get home, and we'll start having a kid when you get home. And when I got home from that school, I found out that I was pregnant. The weirdest part was the mindset on the military had never changed my whole pregnancy. I knew that the deployment was there before the child, and they'd even come to me and said, you're pregnant? You're gonna have a kid? Are you sure you still wanna go on this deployment? I said, absolutely. What would stop me from going on this deployment? Like, you enlist into the military to deploy, I'm not gonna train with all of my guys and then not go on this deployment. So that was like kind of my mindset the whole time I was pregnant. And then I had him, and it was like the first time I held him, I was like, well, shoot. So my life has officially changed now, and it became very hard. I had already committed, and I knew I was going on the deployment, and it made being a mom so much harder and so much more awesome at the same time. Like, I wish that every mom in the world got to go through the experience of knowing that they were going to spend an extended period of time away from their child, because I sucked up every last second that I possibly could have with Colton. I was with him, I was by his bed when he was asleep, he slept on a pillow on my lap the whole 3 months of maternity leave. We didn't spend a moment apart. I was on the ground playing with him, like the TV wasn't on, I didn't have my phone in my hand. I was 100% Colton's mom. So it was so hard because I knew that I was leaving, but at the same time, I don't know that I would have been as attentive or as into it and totally focused on nothing but Colton if it wasn't for knowing that I was going to be gone. I left the beginning of March, and he turned a year in April, so I left about a month before his first birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Colton. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, baby boy.
And it was extremely hard. There was no connectivity, so we had very few phone calls. If you did talk, it was about a 20-second delay. So as soon as I would say something, they wouldn't hear it for like 20 seconds, and then they would say something back. So it was about 40 seconds of just silence, like staring at each other's faces. Hard to keep a 2-year-old's attention for that long.
Colton, Dad says go to sleep.
The actual deployment itself was pretty much a dream deployment for someone military-wise. Probably the most exciting part of it was we were on this base. It was the last pocket of ISIS that was left, and we were fighting them. There was 100 people on that base. 9 of them were us that were part of the radar crew. I was the one in charge of them, but I was the single only female on this base. We would have the radar up, and we were looking to see. ISIS would shoot at us. Every time they would shoot, we would pick it up on our radar and tell the guns, and the guns would just shoot them back right where they were coming from. So it was really cool. We were there when it was 100% defeated. They right before we left there, they'd said they're all gone. So January 31st, I landed back in the state of Utah. It was harder than I expected. The minute that the plane landed down, everyone's obviously glued to the windows, watching out the windows. We just wanted to see our families. And the minute that I actually saw people, I couldn't even pick out my family, but the minute that I actually saw people on the ground, we all just started crying. Like the whole the whole plane just erupted in tears. I was nervous. I remember being super nervous because I tried not to get my expectations too high. I knew Colton hadn't seen me in so long, and I knew he might not like come to me or want anything to do with me or like even know who I was. And as soon as I got home and saw him, Jake handed him to me and he came right to me. So I was thrilled. It couldn't have gone better. It was hard, but I knew that like I was making a difference. I was actually like helping the country. It was a huge sacrifice to be away from them, but it was worth it to see that I was actually making a difference. It was a price to pay for my family, but in the long run, it makes me feel like I am a better mom and wife because I was able to go out and help other people and come home and show them that like even if you have to give up some stuff, doing it is worth it. In the end, it is worth it to be a good person and to go out and do what you're enlisted to do.